Hi, Miss Warren here, and I am going to talk to you about scientific names. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about, scientific names are kind of scary, but once you get the hang of them, it's not that big of a deal. So I want to show you this example here. So we've got three animals here, 1, 2, and 3, and I want you to pause the video and talk with somebody about what those animals might be. What would we call those animals? And are they the same or different? Okay, the sources I got these pictures from say that number 1 is a mountain lion, number 2 is a Florida panther, and number 3 is a cougar. I happen to know, though, that all three of these animals are the same species. They are Felis concolor is the fancy scientific name for this species of animal. Some parts of the country, they call them different names. Some people call cougars mountain lions in even the same parts of the country, and they use different names for them. Here's another example. Here's a mushroom that's used in cooking. It's called, the scientific name for it is Boletus edulis, but depending on which country you're in, you have to know a lot of different names. It's all the same thing. Probably you've mostly heard it called a king bolete or a porcini mushroom. Those are the two most common names we hear in our country. But depending on what country you're in, you would have to know a whole bunch of different names in order to go buy this mushroom to use in your cooking. Okay, so I want you to check it out. There are some field guides. There are books in the back of my room. Uh, they are near the door on the bookshelves there. Find a couple of field guides and look through them. And I want you to look for the common everyday names and the scientific names, which have the big scary words. And I want you to see if you can figure out the rules for scientific names. What's always true about scientific names? I'll go ahead and let you pause the video and do that, and when you're done, hit play again. Okay, so what did you figure out? Hopefully you figured out that there were usually two names. We call this binomial nomenclature. Literally means two-name naming system. And you will see that generally scientific names have two names. Sometimes there's a third one tacked on here for a subspecies, but this is a system of naming. It's based on a system by a man named Carl Linn. We now call him Carolus Linnaeus to give him his own scientific name, kind of as a joke. Now called the organism's scientific name. And here's how it works. The first word is a common name that they'll share with other animals. That's called the genus, and that one's capitalized. The second word is not capitalized, and that's the species name. So that would be true of only that species of animal. We're going to underline it when you write it by hand or put it in italics when you type it. Remember that the genus name is shared with similar organisms like a last name. So for example, my daughter, my husband, and I all have the same last name, Warren. It shows that we're all in the same family. If organisms are in the same genus, then they're all going to have the same genus name. It shows they're very closely related. Okay, the species name identifies individuals, like my first name identifies me within my family. The species name is going to identify an individual species of animal within the family tree. So here's an example. Felis concolor is the mountain lion, and Felis domesticus is the house cat. They're related because they both have the same genus name. So we know they're pretty closely related. Okay, Canis lupus is the wolf. Canis familiaris is the dog. Although there is some discussion among scientists that maybe wolves aren't even really a different species. Okay. So what can scientific names really tell us? They can help us understand the organism. Sometimes scientific names hold clues to what the organism looks like. Eutamius minimus means least or littlest chipmunk. Minimus means littlest. Tachysonetta bicolor is a tree swallow, and if you look at the word bicolor, bi meaning two, that tells you a little something about what that animal looks like. It has two colors. Okay. Sometimes there are clues about where the animal's found that are put into its name. Lepus americanus, as you might expect, is found in the Americas. Castor canadensis, the beaver, is found primarily in Canada, although also in the United States. Sometimes people like to name, whoever discovers an animal gets to name it, and sometimes they get named after the discoverer. So Spermophilus richardsoni is Richardson's ground squirrel. Richardson discovered it. Plethodon richmondi is a salamander that lives in a ravine, discovered by a man named Richmond. Okay, so why bother with these big, long Latin scientific names? Well, it helps scientists communicate better. We need to know, if we're writing an article about Felis concolor, we need to know that that is the same animal that might be called by a different name somewhere else. So there's only one scientific name, no matter what language you're speaking, no matter where in the world you are. Okay, it helps us see relationships between organisms, so you can look for those genus names to be the same, and then you know those animals are closely related. Okay, it gives you clues, like we talked about, to what it looks like or where it's found. And it allows us to organize information globally and find it easily. So if you search for the scientific name, you know you'll be finding the right information. Okay, here's another example. So a dog has the scientific name, we talked about this, Canis familiaris. This is only part of its whole classification. There's a big, long classification system from the kingdom, the animal kingdom, all the way down to the species level. Humans are also in the animal kingdom. They're also chordates. They're also mammals. But when we get to the order, then we see a difference. Humans are in a different order. And of course, from there on, a different family, a different genus, and a different species. Humans are in the species Homo sapiens. By the way, this is my favorite human, my daughter Zoe, and my favorite Canis familiaris, my dog Lily. Your turn. So just for fun, we are all Homo sapiens. That is our scientific name as a species. But just for fun, I want you to make up a scientific name if you were your very own species. And I want you to make a name card for it. So a trick for this is to make a list of a bunch of things about yourself. Look at a list of Latin and Greek root words and use those Latin and Greek root words to make up brand new words that describe you. You need 2 words, a genus name and a species name. Okay, you're going to put these on a 5x8 card. Make sure you format them using the rules that we talked about, and decorate it with pictures or symbols to show the meaning of your scientific name. You can do this on a computer. You can do it by hand. If you use anything that's not yours, though, make sure that you cite that work. And then you're going to tape this card to the back of your science notebook. Okay, here's my example. So my common everyday name is Sarah Warren. My scientific name that I made up for myself, if I were my very own species, is Monopode zoophilis. Mono means only, and paid means child. I am an only child, and so is my daughter. And zoophilist, zo means animal, and phil means love, and ist means one who. So zoophilist means animal lover. And then I put pictures to show that. So here's my only child, and here I am with an animal, my puppy Lily. So it'll kind of help tell about yourself a little bit too. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Like I said, you can do this on the computer, or you can do it totally by hand and draw your pictures, whatever you would like to do. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.